Welcome to Birds of Prey Sports, where we weekly cover Ravens and Orioles news. We're your hosts, TJ and Jared. And in this game, we're going to be covering the dreadful AFC Championship game that we all witnessed this past Sunday. And the final score was 17-10. A low scoring game than probably what everybody, expected. And there's a lot of things to unpack about this game and a lot of things that went wrong for us, on the offensive side, on the defensive side, but they adjusted and played well in the second half, but just very surprising and disappointing. And the main thing that our main point that we'll sort of go over a lot in this video is you can't go away from your identity. You can't be a team, you can't be an offense that you're not. And that's exactly what the Ravens did in this game. It struck again. Um, and we just stopped running the ball. And I believe we only ran the ball about 9 times alone with our running backs, which is unacceptable. It really is, especially when you see a guy like Gus Edwards. He had 6.3 yards per carry. He had that one run that broke for like 15 yards, and then we had the Zay Flowers touchdown after that. But I just don't I really don't understand. I watched a couple other videos, and I'm gonna get to you after this, but I watched a couple other videos, trying to defend almost why we stopped running the ball. But even still, okay, Gus Edwards had three carries, Justice Hill had 3 carries. That's 6 carries. I mean, you're not running the ball enough to make that conclusion that it's not really working. I mean, and even Zay Flowers himself had 2 carries, but we're just strictly talking about, running plays for our running backs. You ran the ball only 6 times.
Embarrassing.
It's embarrassing. It's not enough. And so um it's just disappointing, man. It really is. What are just your opinions before we get into the stats and stuff like
Ass.
that?
If I had to be honest. Um, Terrible, terrible game. Like, it was a dreadful game to watch, and you know, I I couldn't imagine being there. It's raining, it's cold, windy, whatever. Just an awful game to watch, and you know, heartbreaking as well. Had so many opportunities, even with the crappy game plan, we still had opportunities to score, and we just didn't. And you know, this stings. Because it's the AFC Championship game. You're one game away from the Super Bowl, and I mean, you embarrass yourself at home. I mean, and then with everything going on now, it's just people are losing hope. And I feel them. How could you not? And it's sad. Because we don't want to lose hope in the Ravens. We trust in the Ravens. We believe in the Ravens. But when they come out and make the same BS mistakes over and over and over again, you know, how can you even think they're going to win the Super Bowl? We thought this year's different. We're doing things different. We're doing a lot of things different. We're doing things more effectively. But then we go ahead and do that. And now we're back to square one. It's just, it's embarrassing just for the fact that we did it in front of probably millions and millions of people. We did it in front of our own home crowd. We did it on a year where we were supposed to win. And that's what hurts the most is we were supposed to. I mean, we're not supposed to win, but it was set up for us to win. Sorry, on the NFC side, Jared Goff, Brock Purdy, they don't scare you. They just don't. I'm not gonna be rude, but they don't scare you. I will say, Brock Purdy led an amazing comeback in the AFC NFC Championship game, so kudos to him. But I mean, we already beat both of those teams up. Not saying that we would have did it again, but we were already done. We already have, and Mike McDonald was an amazing defensive coordinator for us. So I don't know. It's just, and I'm not gonna sit here. I mean, me and you aren't those type of people that are gonna sit here and talk about how the officials rigged the game or whatever. We're just not gonna be this type of people. We have our opinions about that, but the Ravens just didn't play well enough to win. They had their moments, they had their spurts, but they also had so many f ups to where they lost the game. So while we don't think the officials, ref the game very fair, officiated the game very fair, we also didn't play enough, play well enough. And then we kind of fed into a lot of the Chiefs bait, getting the flags or whatever. And you just can't do that. And we're punching Mahomes in the face, and And so it's just we played not our style, too urgent and undisciplined. And we lost the turnover battle. You do those four things, you're not going to win the game. And you lost the trenches battle, at least offensively. You're not winning that game if all five of those things occur. If you win that game at and all five of those things occur, you're winning the Super Bowl. You might win the next few Super Bowls because that's how good you are. But we lost the game because we lost the turnover the battle. We were undisciplined. We were feeding in a whole bunch of different things, and I mean, awful decision making, awful game plan. It was just a terrible, terrible game to watch. Only scored 10 points. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing, truly.
And yeah, kind of just sort of piggyback off of that. I just want to say defense was amazing. Mike McDonald, as of now, he's officially a part of the Seahawks, but we'll get into that later in another video after this. But he's just amazing. He's dynamic, and to see what the defense did, going into the second quarter, it was amazing. Kyle Hamilton was the player of the game, in my opinion. I mean, he was there. The whole defense was there. Justin Madubuike got the first sack on Mahomes in like weeks, I think.
Yeah, I was
He,
ripped his freaking legs off.
yeah, I know they were really trying to give the offense a second chance. And just again looking at the offensive stats here, I'm looking at the stats, right? Zay Flowers Zay Flowers is the only receiver to get over five or more receptions. Everybody else has one reception, three reception, two receptions, and that's it. And it's just about this, right? Okay, you're going away from your DNA, your identity running the ball, but you're not spreading the wealth even when you're passing. Okay, Justice Hill has four receptions, right? But he didn't really do anything with those receptions. It seemed like it wasn't really moving the ball. There was a couple plays that worked, but after that, you do a deep shot or you do just a play that just is too. It's just Lamar has to wait too long for it developed. Okay, what about doing things with Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews on the field at the same time? But nope, both of them only had two receptions. Isaiah Likely had two receptions for 16 yards, and Mark Andrews had two receptions for 15 yards. I mean, we were hyped all week that they would do something creative, having both of them, I don't know, doing crosser routes across the field or having one draw more attention and the other gets open. There was no creativity at all, even in the passing offense. Okay, like no creativity whatsoever. And then
Mhm.
Dalvin Cook, we didn't even use him. Didn't use Dalvin Cook at all. I mean, what are we doing? We're not spreading the wealth on offense. It just seemed like Lamar was just going to Zay Flowers the whole game. I mean, and that's cool. Zay, he balled out. He tried to do everything he can in his power to get us to win. He had the fumble. I think people are unfairly, dogging on him because of that,
Right.
but not distributing the wealth. And honestly, I'm gonna say this. That's the underlying issue that was going on this season. But it was covered up because we were winning ball games. And look, that's what winning does. Look at the Eagles. They started out 10-1. They had so many underlying issues. It all fell apart like the last six games of the season. And the Ravens had some underlying issues on offense. I wanted to say this in the next video, but I'm gonna say it right now. When you go out and get Odell Beckham and you tout him to be your top acquisition of the offseason, he's the number one wide receiver for Lamar until Zay Flowers gets up there, but he's the number one wide receiver. He's Lamar's big weapon now, and you only target him 35 times in a season. You're not using him. You're not using him. He only had 35 receptions. I believe he had 558 receiving yards this year.
Yeah,
And
something like that. Yeah.
yeah, and he had two games which he had over 100 yards receiving, I believe, or I think one. And if you take away that one game, he barely has 300 yards receiving, probably in the 290 range or something like that. So 290 to 300, yards receiving range. I mean, how can you get guys? How can you get guys, new guys, and be excited about them and what they can bring to the offense, and then you don't give them a chance? That goes for Mark in this game. That goes for Odell all season. That goes for Dalvin Cook. I mean, what are you bringing in these guys for?
Yeah.
Me-
And
oh, I just want to say, and I'll pass it to you. I've seen people that was like, "Oh, well, we're not really getting a lot out of Odell this season. We're not giving him a chance." It's embarrassing because you saw him go to the Rams 3 years ago, he instantly brought life to the offense. He was going to win MVP of the Super Bowl until he got hurt. I'm tired of seeing this from the Ravens. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna try to put up some more stats, but I'm gonna pass it to you for now.
Yeah, so to prove your point, Beckham played 34 snaps on Sunday, which is 59% of the snaps of the 58, which is probably more than we've seen. Andrews, who got activated for that game, played only 18 snaps, which is 31%, so wasn't on the field that much. And another injury guy, Marlon Humphrey played 13 snaps of the 81. 13. So it's tough. Like, it's tough. And it's unfortunate at the same time because like you were so close, and I mean, I don't know if people think that Mark Andrews was a distraction and maybe the offense didn't flow well because of that, but I mean, I don't know. I haven't heard that. That was my theory at first, but he was barely out there.
Right.
And I mean, why activate him if you're barely going to play him? He wasn't a threat. He didn't he didn't scare defenses clearly. So I don't get it. I really don't get it. And this game confuses me. And if you have anything else to say, then we can move on to the stats.
I just wanna just I just wanna see. Okay. So I did a little bit more looking into Odell Beckham, right? I just wanna really get into this because it really makes me mad. Okay, so he had 565 receiving yards on the season. His two most high receiving games, he had he had 116 against Cincinnati and he had 97 against the Rams. If you take away those two games plus his receptions, so that's 8 receptions, right? And he has 352 yards receiving total on the season. If you take away those two games, he has 352 yards receiving on the entire season. And take away those two 8 receptions. And it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable, really. So that's like him. Okay, that's about him having 24 receptions and 352 yards on the season if those two games don't happen. And you saw what he could do in those two games, right? Lamar was underthrowing him a little bit in the Rams game. He had great ball. He was making great plays on the ball, twisting his body, contorting his body to catch. His yak ability we saw in the Bengals game. I mean, it just really irks me that we count on new additions each season. We don't use them. We don't use them. And then when it's funny, and then in the playoffs, you don't even want to be your true self. Then you want to start using them and calling on their name, but no, it's too late. It could I'm sorry, we should have created a perfect marriage between the running game, or like a lot of people are saying, use the running game to set up the passing game. Then you could throw it to guys like Odell and Nelson Aguilar and Zay Flowers. But we didn't do that. So we can get into the stats now. I just kind of wanted to say that about OBJ. It's disappointing. And
Sharing now.
he only had one catch in the divisional game against the Texans for 12 yards.
All right, so you can read off the offensive stats here.
Yeah, so Lamar Jackson, 20 of 37, one touchdown, one interception. Listen, I'm not, dogging on Lamar's passing ability, but in the Ravens offense, you don't want to see Lamar throwing for 30. I don't even think we did 37 passing plays. Didn't we do like 50, 58 passing plays or something like that? It was something like that,
Well,
but
considering he got sacked 4 times, probably like it's over 40.
40.
And then who know anytime he scrambled.
Yep.
So
So
it's probably like 45, 40 something.
listen, I'm sorry. I'm not dogging on Lamar's passing ability, but in the Ravens offense, you don't want to see the quarterback throwing the ball 40 plus times. That's not how the offense is built. We're built to run the ball and pass. Maybe you want to see a Ravens quarterback, especially like Lamar, pass the ball about 20, I would say 20, 25 to at least 30 times at the most. And again, that's not dogging on Lamar's passing ability, but that just shows that the play calling in this game was bad. And the routes that again, the routes were too long developing in order for him to get something going. I mean, there definitely was a couple plays where he could have taken up off the middle and got first downs. And I was wondering why he didn't do that. I even feel like on the play where he caught his own pass and also a play where he kind of broke off against the right side of defense, he could have turned on the afterburners a little bit more and got more yards. But Lamar's 20-37, one touchdown, one pick. Rushing, Lamar has 8 carries for 54 yards. Gus has 3 carries for 20 yards. Zay had 2 carries for 4 yards, and Justice Hill had 3 carries for 3 yards. One thing I want to note is there was a 3rd and 1, and we had Justice Hill out there running on the 3rd and 1. And my question is, why don't you have Gus out there? What even I don't know, even Dalvin Cook, why are we giving 2 carries to Zay Flowers but not Dalvin Cook? Why? And that like, that play that was Zay where he ran the ball, it just seems so predictable. Um, so again, moving on to the receiving, it's frustrating reading these, knowing what could have been, but Zay had 5 receptions for 115 yards. He balled out. I don't care what anybody says. Yeah, he had the fumble. Yeah, he had the taunting, but this was his first, big game. He was he was balling out, and I appreciate him for having the effort to want us to will us back in that game. Nelson Aguilar had 1 reception for 39 yards. He's another guy who, throughout the season, we really didn't use like that. I guess, I feel like we could have got a little bit more out of him, but I feel like that's on the Ravens. Justice Hill had 4 receptions for 34 yards. Odell Beckham had 3 receptions for 22 yards. All 3 of his receptions came in like the fourth quarter, I believe. Gus Edwards had 1 reception for 16 yards. Even with Gus, I would have liked to see a little bit more passing plays with him. I mean, it seemed like it was working. The short game kind of was working. Isaiah Likely had 2 receptions for 16 yards. Mark Andrews had 2 receptions for 15 yards. Lamar Jackson caught his own pass for 13 yards. And Rashad Bateman, only 1 reception for 2 yards. He's another problem. You told me earlier he's been open all season and he just hasn't been getting the ball. And you can even look at tape about it. It's embarrassing almost. Um, that's another person we'll get into. But yeah, that's the offensive stats.
Yeah. If I was Bateman, I want to get my ass out of here. That's for a fact. Um, Anyways, to move on to the defense, which is definitely the MVPs of the game. Roquan Smith has 16 total tackles, 5 of them are solo. He has a QB hit. Kyle Hamilton has 11 total tackles, 9 of them are solo, 1 tackle for loss, and a QB hit. He balled out, like you said. Brandon Stevens has 9 total tackles, 6 of them are solo. Patrick Queen has 8 total tackles, 7 of them are solo. He has a QB hit. This might have been Patrick Queen's last game as a Raven. Excuse me. Justin Metabike has 6 total tackles, 2 of them are solo. He has a half sack and 1 QB hit, which is also could be his last game as a Raven. Ronald Darby has 4 total tackles, 3 of them are solo. Marcus Williams has 3 total tackles, 3 of them are solo. He has a pass deflection. Kyle Van Noy has 3 total tackles, 2 of them are solo. He has a tackle for loss and a QB hit. Brent Urban, sorry. Brent Urban has 3 total tackles, 1 of them are solo. Malik Harrison and Travis Jones each have 3 total tackles. Jadeveon Clowney and Michael Pierce, Arthur Millette, Dan whatever. I don't even remember him playing. Like I always see them on the stats, but I never notice him playing at all. Anyway, they all have 2 total tackles. 1 of them are solo. Jadeveon Clowney has a sack. Michael Pierce has a half sack. Michael Pierce has a tackle for loss. Jadeveon Clowney has a QB hit, and so does Michael Pierce. Marlon Humphrey has 1 total tackle. 1 of them are solo, and obviously the others, the non-performers. Look at this, all the way at the bottom. Where was he all game?
Nowhere.
Where's he been all season? What are his stats looking like? There's like 3 sacks. Ooh, 5. Does it count pressure zone here? Well, you know what? We'll probably just look at this on our own time, but I'm just gonna stop the share. Um, yeah, I mean, the defense showed out. Maybe not at first. They were definitely getting ran through pretty easily at first, but they locked in after they gave the 2 touchdowns or they gave the 3 points. The defense really is probably going to take a step back next year. if I had to guess, with a lot of players leaving, and you're absolutely mastermind wizard defensive coordinator going to be a head coach somewhere else. So I mean, kudos to the defense for it playing championship level football, but the offense again, letting us down. And I mean, I'm being honest with you, man. Like, you know, I, yeah, me and you were discussing this earlier. Like, after a playoff failure, our offensive coordinator seen a dip down in production. Do you predict something like that happen to a Monken heading into next year, or do you predict them to draw some more schemes up and really like learn and continue to expand this offense?
I mean, well, he really has no choice but to draw out some new schemes and learn a new offense. I mean,
Not a new
feel
offense.
like he has. I feel like he has to, and I expect him to. I feel like he definitely has to learn how to use his pieces around him more. Because Mike McDonald could do it. He effectively used every piece on that defense, whether it was being a role player or a star. Like Roquan, PQ, Kyle Hamilton. Todd Monken needs to learn how to do that. And again, when you're getting, your new additions like OBJ, like Nelson Aguilar, they're barely getting over 40 receptions a season. That's unacceptable. It kind of makes you one-dimensional when it comes to passing the ball. So I really hope he can, scheme better. I mean, there were so many ways to be creative. Like I said, you can use Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews. We're blessed enough to have two talented. I feel like we have one of the best tight end duos in the league. And we're blessed to have that, and you're not using them. You're not using them. It's unacceptable. I get that we're a running football team, but it's okay to shift a little bit more offensively. And I hope Todd Monken can realize that. I hope he can adjust, learn how to run the ball more in situations that call for it, learn how to pass the ball more. But our main focus should be running to set up the pass. You're an NFL head coach. You won 2 championships with Georgia. You know what you're doing. So act like it.
Man, I hope so. I really hope so. Um, you know, I kind of want to get your opinion of this before we wrap up this video. Um, how do you feel about all this talk about Justin Tucker versus Mahomes and Kelsey? All that stuff that's been coming out the past few days. Justin Tucker gave his first statement, kind of playing it off as something a little bit more jokey or whatever. Not people were taking it seriously. And Mahomes and Kelsey coming shit all over that. Completely, Mahomes was less brutal than Kelsey. Mahomes was pretty much alluding to maybe Tucker getting into, under their skin, and then Kelsey pretty much calling him a dickhead. Um, you know, uh, Honestly, I've seen a lot of people defending them and well thrashing, but a lot of Chiefs fans are defending him, obviously, or them. But I need you guys to understand that you're coming into our house. We're not going to, Kansas City. We're not going there at all. You're coming to Baltimore, Maryland, M&T Bank Stadium. You're not going to come in here and tell us where we should warm up or put our helmets on. Well, how about why don't you move over a little bit? You're in our stadium. We're not in Kansas City. We're not in whatever it's that dumb stadium's called Arrowhead. We're not there. So this entitled stuff, get rid of that. Like they've became the most unlikable franchise so quick by this BS. I didn't care about the Taylor Swift stuff or whatever, but this stuff right here just set me over the edge. Because you're gonna come in here, kick the no, they're not even asking. They're not placing it anywhere. They're kicking it. They're throwing it. They're being disrespectful. It's just they're a bunch of douchebags who happen to be on the same team. Those two are the biggest douchebags in the NFL, and it's unfortunate because they were very likable at first, but not anymore. Like it's just this entitlement, like attitude that they carry now. And I don't know if Travis Kelsey feels like he has some kind of immunity because he's dating Taylor Swift and he has all this media presence and the Swifties are always going to defend him. I don't know, but it's just it's a I don't know how you're not embarrassed. I mean, imagine Mark Andrews and Lamar Jackson went to an opposing team stadium before a game and started doing that. First of all, we'd be scrutinized for that. No, no, no. House of Highlights, Bleacher Report, NFL and CBS is posting it, putting the laughing emoji. Oh, haha, look a little before the game, if Lamar and Mark Andrews were to go and do that to another stadium, it would be this big thing. Are we entitled? Are we a douchebag? Are we a-holes? Whatever it would be. But no, it's just it's disrespectful. It's truly disrespectful. It's almost getting to the standing on the logo type BS that would happen with the Titans back in 2020. It's disrespectful, and it's honestly, I'd be embarrassed as a Ravens fan if one of our players did some BS like that, because we know what our culture is. We know how we act. We don't go ahead in people's stadiums and disrespect what they have there unless they disrespect us first. So I clearly gave my opinion on that. How do you feel about it?
They came in our stadium and treated us like wussies. I want to say the P word, but I can't. I gotta keep this friendly. But they came in our stadium, and treated us like wussies. They came in there and felt like they could do whatever they wanted to. It showed on the football field. Travis Kelce was saying all types of stuff. Like I told you, him and Kyle Van Noy were going back at it. He was doing all types of, he was doing some taunting and celebrations of his own. Nothing. They came in here and just treated us like we were just soft. And in a lot of ways, we were soft. And with this Justin Tucker stuff, literally no other opponent has a problem with it. I read no other opponent has had a problem with it. It's only been the Chiefs. I think Patrick Holmes said that the three times it's happened has been with the Ravens. So why is nobody else having a problem with it but you are?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then,
Yeah, that's time for self-reflection. If
right.
that's true, right.
And then Harrison Bucker was literally on our side. Nobody did nothing to him.
Right. Gave him a
So
space, probably.
yeah, I really like Trav. I still think that he's a good tight end. I understand that, when it's game day, you want to bring out your demons, you want to, not be nice to your opponents, but come on, man. You know,
Right.
if if that's what kickers do, then just let them do their job. They're supposed to go on both sides of the field, to test, I guess, the wind direction for each side of the field or whatever. That's their job. So they're just getting ready for the game. And if it's stuff is in your way, I feel like there's a sportsmanlike way to go about it. I don't know, but they came in our stadium, treated us like wussies. They got away with a whole bunch of stuff, but we're not going to get into the reps and all that. But it's just embarrassing. It really is, because we just, even after the game, they were disrespectful. Donovan Smith was talking, smack
Oh
about
yeah.
Roquan. Oh,
Yep.
look at this sad. Da, da, da.
Yeah, and Legarius Sneed going on Twitter saying that Zay some fake tough guy or whatever. Like,
you know, listen, I don't know if we're going to win next season when we play them, but that's a game that the Ravens should have circled on the calendar. I'm tired of teams coming into empty Bank Stadium. Baltimore is a tough city. We're not supposed to be treated like nothing. I'm tired of teams coming into empty Bank Stadium and treating us like, I want to say what I want to say, but I can't. I'm tired of teams coming in here and treating us like we're kids or something and that we're soft. That's not how Ravens football is supposed to be played. Teams are supposed to be scared when they come in this stadium, and they're not. And they sure wasn't on Sunday. So the Ravens need to have that game circled next year on their calendar, and we need to come in there and we need to light that
right.
stadium. We need to blow them out. We need to disrespect them. We need to do everything to get back for this game. And it's not even going to be enough because we need to beat them in the playoffs eventually. But
Yep.
this game should be circled next year on the calendar. It's going to be at Kansas City. It's going to be a rowdy one, but we need to take over the stadium like how they've done here almost the past two times. I'm
Yep.
sick and tired of teams coming here and treating us like we're soft, and we are. Titans did it twice. The Chiefs are doing it. I'm tired of it. So I agree to say, I wish I could say what I want to say, but I can't. I feel like
Right.
Lamar last week against the Texans, but this soft stuff has to stop.
Right.
I'm even kind of disappointed in Marlon. I mean, we see him partying after the game. Like, come on. I respect Marlon. He's a great cornerback. Obviously, he didn't get to showcase his skills enough this season, but we can't be that unserious, man. Sorry. I get that you're trying to get, away from the game and live your life, and you can do that. But I mean, partying after the game just seems a little bit tone deaf.
Yeah.
I'm not lie. So
Yep.
that's just my thoughts on the Justin Tucker stuff, and a little bit more. I'm still mad about this game as much as you are, and as much as you are too, Ravens flock. So It's just a shame.
I think we can close this video out.
Yeah, that's all we got for you guys today. We're gonna have another video coming up soon just about our off season predictions and stuff like that and what we wish to happen. So just stay tuned for that. But make sure you check out our social medias. We got a lot new coming for this channel, just in terms of like, aesthetic and branding. So be on the lookout for that.
Yeah.
And we're excited to move on and, get
Right.
into the season next.
Yeah, so
So,
yeah, we had a blast covering the Ravens season. Wish you could have ended the Super Bowl run.
yep.
But fell a little short. So this is our first full season as the Ravens content creators, I guess. Ravens and Orioles, but for the Ravens season. So, we gotten through two of the sports seasons already. So, and then we've grown, we're close, we're getting close. I feel like we always get closer to 200 subscribers. So we gotta get to 200 by the end of February. I wish there was more content to post for us to get there, but it's gonna be a little bit of a lull between Ravens and Orioles season. But we're on planning on getting to Orioles games, film some content for that. I changed up a little bit of the scenery here, so all the links for our social medias will be in the description, so it's not all cluttered on the screen. And yeah, so thank you for watching all our videos this season about the Ravens.
And thank you. And we're gonna have a good season next year, and hopefully we can get to where we were and more. So that's all we got for you guys today. We're Bird Spray Sports, TJ and Jared, and we're out.